In everyday life, surely all of us have faced disrespect from others at least once, whether in work, family, or social relationships. These disrespectful behaviors can manifest in many forms, from sarcastic words, belittling, to ignoring your opinions or not valuing personal boundaries. For many people, the natural reaction to experiencing disrespect is often feelings of hurt, anger, and immediate desire to resist. However, according to Stoic philosophy, the most effective response is not to express excessive emotions or retaliate against others, but to maintain equanimity and self-control. In today's great video, we'll introduce 8 Stoic approaches to dealing with people who don't respect you. Through these strategies, you will learn how to handle difficult situations intelligently, calmly, and effectively, thereby protecting your own values and dignity. Don't miss this important video. Watch it until the end with us. Click like the video. Write your share below the video in the comments section. And now, let's get started. 1. Emotional control. We all encounter situations where we have to deal with disrespectful behavior from others, whether in work, family, or social relationships. These moments can trigger frustration, anger, or even a desire for retaliation. However, the key to navigating these situations effectively lies in emotional control. Losing control can hurt both ourselves and our relationships. Fortunately, you can't control others, but you can control yourself. One of the most important teachings in Stoicism is the distinction between what we can and cannot control. Epictetus, one of the most prominent Stoic thinkers, famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that while we can't control how others treat us, we can always control how we respond. For example, when someone speaks to you disrespectfully or behaves inappropriately, your initial reaction might be anger, hurt, or a desire to fight back. But in line with Stoic wisdom, you should strive to keep a calm mind, not allowing negative emotions to take over. This is the essence of emotional control. You don't need to let someone else's behavior affect your inner peace or self-control. Emotional detachment in this context doesn't mean being indifferent or uncaring. Rather, it's the ability to view situations objectively without letting personal emotions cloud your judgment. When someone disrespects you, instead of reacting emotionally right away, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, will this emotional reaction actually help me? Epictetus also said, we cannot control the thoughts or actions of others, but we can control how we think about them. This means you can choose how to respond to disrespect. Instead of allowing anger to take over, you can opt to respond in a more composed, thoughtful way. This not only preserves your inner peace, but may even cause the other person to reconsider their actions. Maintaining emotional control offers numerous advantages beyond just avoiding conflict. It allows you to stay focused on what truly matters, rather than getting dragged into pointless arguments or negative exchanges. By staying calm, you create a more positive environment for yourself and those around you. You'll also find that relationships improve because people will see you as level-headed, reliable, and in control. Emotionally controlled individuals are often more successful in life. They manage negative emotions without allowing them to interfere with their productivity or personal well-being. When faced with challenges, they remain composed, make better decisions, and avoid acting on impulse. How to practice emotional control in a Stoic way. Acknowledge your emotions as they arise. When you start to feel anger, anxiety, or sadness, recognize those emotions. Awareness is the first step to controlling them. Instead of ignoring or denying your feelings, face them honestly and calmly. Remind yourself of what you can control. In tough situations, remind yourself that you can only control your response, not the actions of others. This keeps you focused on what you can do to improve the situation instead of worrying about what you can't change. Practice calm reflection or meditation. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius encourage daily meditation to maintain calmness. Set aside time each day to reflect on your actions and emotions, asking yourself if they align with Stoic principles of emotional control. Focus on the present moment. Stoicism emphasizes living in the present moment, without letting past or future worries cloud your mind. When you're fully present, it becomes easier to stay emotionally controlled and deliberate in your actions. Emotional control is a vital skill for anyone navigating the challenges of life. According to Stoicism, while we cannot control how others treat us, we can fully control how we respond. By practicing emotional detachment, maintaining calmness, and focusing on what we can control, we not only protect our inner peace but also enhance the quality of our relationships and overall life experience. 2. Setting boundaries, firmly but calmly. Establishing and maintaining personal boundaries is a crucial skill for preserving self-respect and avoiding emotional distress. However, not everyone knows how to set boundaries firmly while remaining calm and avoiding unnecessary conflict. Stoics place a high value on self-respect and emphasize the importance of mastering oneself, including protecting one's personal and mental space. Setting clear boundaries not only protects your mental well-being, but also helps maintain healthy relationships, whether in family, work, or social settings. Epictetus, one of the leading Stoic thinkers, once said, "Learn to distinguish between what is within your control and what is not." Personal boundaries are part of what we can control. This means that while you cannot control how others behave, you have full control over your personal space and how others treat you. However, this must be done calmly, without allowing emotions to take over. Boundaries are not just rules of behavior. They are how we protect our sense of self-respect. When we don't establish boundaries, we can easily find ourselves in situations that make us uncomfortable or hurt. Some people may overstep, take advantage of your kindness, or show a lack of respect. Failing to clearly communicate boundaries can lead to frustration, resentment, and eventually broken relationships. According to Stoic philosophy, we cannot control others' actions, but we can control how we respond to them. Setting boundaries is not about trying to control others, but about controlling how we allow them to treat us. In some cases, setting boundaries can be difficult, especially when dealing with people who are disrespectful or don't understand your needs. However, instead of reacting too strongly or becoming aggressive, you can communicate your boundaries clearly and firmly while maintaining calm. This not only shows self-respect, but also helps you maintain peace of mind. Step 1. Understand your boundaries. Before setting boundaries, ask yourself, what is important to me? What makes me feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Understanding your limits will help you communicate them to others clearly and consistently. When you know what you want and need to protect, you'll feel more confident when expressing and defending those boundaries. Step 2. Communicate calmly and clearly. When communicating your boundaries, avoid being defensive or angry. Stoic philosophy encourages calmness in every situation. Don't let your emotions overshadow your words. If someone continues to disrespect you, calmly explain that their behavior is unacceptable. For example, say, "I don't feel comfortable when you speak to me this way. I need you to respect me and stop." Rather than raising your voice or reacting aggressively, keep your tone calm but firm. This approach not only ensures your message is clear, but also helps avoid escalating the conflict. Step 3. Stand your ground. Setting boundaries is only effective if you enforce them. If you constantly compromise or allow others to cross the boundaries you've set, they will not take those boundaries seriously. Don't be afraid of upsetting someone or making them uncomfortable. Remember, protecting your self-respect is your right. Step 4. Learn to say no. An essential part of setting boundaries is knowing when and how to say no. Stoicism teaches that we cannot please everyone, and we should not do so at the cost of our well-being. If you feel pressured or uncomfortable with a request, learn to say no without feeling guilty. For example, if a coworker asks you to take on extra work beyond your responsibilities, say something like, "I've completed my tasks for the day, and I'm unable to take on more right now." This shows that you respect your limits and expect others to do the same. Establishing boundaries not only protects you from emotionally harmful situations, but also helps you feel more confident and in control of your life. When you can calmly communicate your boundaries, your relationships with others will improve because they will understand what is acceptable and what is not. Moreover, standing your ground while staying calm allows you to avoid unnecessary conflicts. This creates a safe space for both parties to communicate and understand each other effectively. 3. Not letting ego control you. Many people often find themselves in situations where they feel disrespected, belittled, or unappreciated. The natural reaction to these situations is usually anger, hurt, or a desire for retaliation. However, according to Stoic philosophy, these feelings of offense often stem from an inflated ego. Stoicism encourages us to control our ego, as it can overshadow our thoughts and lead to impulsive actions that harm both ourselves and our relationships. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, famously said, "We are not disturbed by events, but by the views we take of them." This means that feelings of offense or hurt often arise because we allow our ego to magnify situations. When our ego is inflated, we tend to interpret every word or action of others as a personal attack, which then leads to reactive behaviors that damage relationships and even our mental well-being. Ego, a barrier to inner peace. If left unchecked, the ego can become a significant barrier to achieving inner peace. When our ego is too big, we become easily defensive and overly concerned with being recognized and respected by others. This constant need for validation leaves us vulnerable to the words and actions of others. Moreover, a large ego blinds us from seeing situations objectively, leading to poor decisions and actions. For example, when someone disrespects you, your first reaction might be to feel hurt and retaliate immediately. But in many cases, reacting emotionally doesn't bring positive results. Instead, it escalates conflict and creates unwanted consequences. Stoicism teaches us to control our emotions, not allowing the ego to overpower our reason, and to act with calmness, avoiding overreaction. How to control the ego according to Stoicism. Recognize your ego in every situation. The first step to controlling your ego is to recognize when it is influencing your thoughts and actions. Ask yourself, am I reacting this way because my ego is hurt? Becoming aware of your emotions and why you feel a certain way helps you process the situation more rationally. Instead of letting your ego lead, try to view the situation from a more objective, non-judgmental perspective. For instance, when someone criticizes you, instead of immediately responding defensively, take a moment to think, do I really need to respond? Does this criticism matter enough to disturb my peace of mind? Recognizing and acknowledging your ego in moments like these will help you better control your emotions. Practice humility. Humility is a core value in Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, "Pride is a master trap. Don't fall into it." This means we shouldn't let ourselves become too proud or overestimate our position or abilities. Rather than viewing ourselves as the center of everything, we should see ourselves with a sense of humility and realism. Understanding that we are just a small part of a much larger universe helps reduce the size of our ego and prevents unnecessary reactions to criticism or disrespect from others. Focus on what you can control. One of the most important principles in Stoicism is focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. A large ego often makes us want to control everything, from how others behave to the events happening around us. However, this only leads to frustration and anger when things don't go our way. Instead of trying to change other people or circumstances, focus on changing how you respond to those situations. By doing so, you not only control your ego, but also become more peaceful in the face of life's ups and downs. Accept criticism calmly. No one enjoys being criticized, but it's an inevitable part of life. The key is how you respond to that criticism. Stoics understand that overreacting to criticism is often a sign of an inflated ego. Instead of responding immediately, take time to listen objectively and ask yourself, is this criticism valid? Is there something I can learn from this? Accepting criticism doesn't mean you're weak. It's a sign of maturity and control over your ego. This not only helps you grow, but also prevents unnecessary conflicts. Practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most effective ways to control the ego. When you practice forgiving others and showing empathy, you no longer feel offended by their words or actions. Remember, everyone makes mistakes, and forgiveness allows us to move past the hurt that the ego often causes. Ego is an inherent part of being human, but when it goes unchecked, it leads to negative reactions that can harm us. According to Stoicism, controlling the ego is essential for maintaining inner peace and acting rationally in all situations. By recognizing the ego, practicing humility, and focusing on what you can control, you can master your emotions and live a more harmonious, peaceful, and meaningful life. 4. Maintaining optimism. Life is full of challenges and difficulties that we cannot control. From pressures at work, intense relationships, to unexpected setbacks, dealing with negative situations is inevitable. However, what matters most is not what happens, but how we respond and perceive these situations. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Stoicism is a philosophy that emphasizes mastering our emotions and reactions instead of trying to control external events. According to Stoicism, events in life are neither inherently good nor bad. How we view and respond to them determines our mindset and well-being. Therefore, optimism can help us face challenges with greater calmness, rather than getting caught in a cycle of negativity. Optimism doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or living in denial. Instead, it means looking at challenges objectively and reminding ourselves that we can control how we feel in any situation. Stoicism teaches that by maintaining an optimistic mindset, we can remain calm and manage situations without letting negative events disrupt our peace of mind. How to maintain optimism? According to Stoicism, recognize and control your mood. The first step to maintaining optimism is recognizing your emotions and thoughts. Often, we tend to react automatically to negative situations, which leads to frustration, anxiety, or sadness. When you face unwanted circumstances, take a moment and ask yourself, is this mood helpful for me? Marcus Aurelius emphasized that our strength lies in how we perceive the situation, not in the situation itself. Acknowledging that we have the power to control how we feel is the first step to changing how we react to external events. Focus on what you can control. One of the core principles of Stoicism is focusing on what you can control and letting go of what is beyond your control. External events, such as other people's actions, unexpected circumstances, or unsatisfactory outcomes, are factors that we cannot fully control. Instead of allowing uncontrollable factors to affect your mood, focus on how you can control your response. For example, if someone disrespects you, rather than letting it bother you, remember that you have the choice not to let their behavior affect your emotions. You have the power to remain optimistic and not let outside negativity dictate your feelings. Practice calmness in the face of adversity. Optimism in Stoicism doesn't mean denying difficulties, but rather facing them calmly. Marcus Aurelius encouraged us to view every challenge as an opportunity to strengthen ourselves. When faced with difficulties, instead of panicking or feeling wronged, ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? Rather than being swept away by negative emotions, see challenges as stepping stones to growth. Practicing calmness allows you to maintain an optimistic mindset, not only in favorable situations, but also when confronted with unexpected obstacles. Practice gratitude. One effective way to maintain an optimistic mindset is by practicing gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you don't have or what's going wrong in life, take time each day to reflect on the good things you already have. This not only helps you view life more positively, but also balances your emotions during tough times. Even in the worst situations, there's always something to be grateful for, whether it's your health, family, friends, or simply the opportunity to learn from challenges. Practice positive thinking every day. A key part of maintaining optimism is practicing positive thinking on a daily basis. Stoicism encourages us to start each day with positive thoughts and focus on what we can control. When you begin the day with a positive mindset, it becomes easier to handle unwanted situations. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote that each morning he would remind himself of the challenges and difficulties he might face. Instead of worrying about them, he saw them as opportunities to practice patience, compassion, and optimism. Create a positive environment around you. Your environment has a significant impact on your mood. Surround yourself with positive people who encourage you to remain optimistic. Distance yourself from those who complain or spread negativity, as they can influence your emotions and mindset. Additionally, creating a clean and organized living and working space can help you feel more at ease and better maintain your optimistic outlook. Optimism helps us avoid being swept into a spiral of negativity and protects our inner peace. Through practicing gratitude, maintaining positive thinking, and focusing on what we can control, you not only create a more meaningful life, but also become stronger in the face of life's challenges. 5. Focusing on long-term goals. We often get caught up in everyday concerns, from small details at work to conflicts in relationships. Disrespect, criticism, or temporary failures can easily throw us off course and cause us to lose sight of the bigger goals we've set for ourselves. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is to concentrate on what truly matters in life and not get distracted by temporary issues or fleeting emotions. Stoicism teaches us that life is a long journey, and we should direct our actions based on our most profound values and long-term goals. Small details like someone being disrespectful or facing short-term difficulties are merely stepping stones on the path toward greater objectives. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic thinkers, once said, "Remember that life is short, and we do not have time to waste on unimportant things." This quote reminds us that in a world full of distractions, only long-term goals and meaningful pursuits are worthy of our time and effort. In life, many factors make it easy for us to lose focus on our long-term goals. Everyday conflicts, criticism, or unexpected events can weaken our spirits and make us forget what is truly important. For instance, when someone disrespects or criticizes us, we may quickly fall into the trap of negative emotions, becoming angry or disappointed. However, according to Stoicism, these are just small details in the bigger journey of life. Disrespect or short-term failures do not change our core values or long-term objectives. To stay focused on our long-term goals, we must learn to view things from a broader perspective and avoid letting short-term emotions affect our decisions and actions. How to stay focused on long-term goals? According to Stoicism, keep your eye on the bigger picture. First and foremost, always remind yourself of the bigger picture in life. Small details, such as someone disrespecting you, are insignificant when compared to the larger goals you are working toward. These are just minor challenges along the way to success. For example, if you are building a career or starting a business, you will undoubtedly encounter people who don't support you, criticize you, or even belittle you. Instead of letting these actions shake your spirit, remember that your goal is not to please everyone, but to succeed in your work. Each challenge or criticism is an opportunity to learn, improve yourself, and move closer to your long-term goal. Control your reactions. A key principle of Stoicism is controlling your reactions to external events. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control how you respond. When faced with disrespect, instead of letting impulsive emotions take over, pause and reflect on your larger goals. Responding to criticism or negative behavior will only waste time and energy that you could otherwise devote to more important matters. Align your actions with your bigger goals. Stoicism emphasizes that every action we take should be guided by our values and long-term goals. Instead of letting short-term emotions drive your behavior, always ask yourself, will this action help me get closer to my long-term goal? If the answer is no, pause and reconsider your course. For example, if your goal is to build a successful career, focus on developing the necessary skills and fostering positive relationships. When someone criticizes or disrespects you, don't waste your time and energy responding to them. Instead, focus on your work and don't let minor setbacks prevent you from achieving your greater goals. Practice patience. Success in life doesn't come overnight. It requires patience and persistence. Stoicism teaches that great goals often take time to achieve. When faced with difficulties or disrespect, remember that these challenges are temporary. Stay patient and keep your focus, continuing to work toward your long-term goals. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We often lose patience in the face of present difficulties, but if we look further, we will see that everything is just part of a larger plan." This means that short-term challenges are not worth abandoning your long-term goals for. Maintain an optimistic mindset. Optimism is crucial when it comes to staying focused on long-term goals. According to Stoicism, an optimistic mindset helps us navigate obstacles more easily. When you encounter disrespect or other challenges, instead of falling into negative emotions, look at the positives and remind yourself that all difficulties are temporary. Focusing on long-term goals is a vital skill for achieving success and maintaining inner peace in life. According to Stoicism, We need to keep our focus on the bigger picture and not let small, temporary issues like disrespect or short-term failures derail us. By controlling our reactions, maintaining an optimistic mindset, and being patient, we can stay on course and reach our greater goals. Short-term challenges cannot stop us if we know how to focus on the larger journey. 6. Responding with silence when necessary. We often find ourselves in difficult situations, facing rude or disrespectful behavior from others. The natural human reaction is often to respond, to defend ourselves against the insult. However, according to Stoic philosophy, sometimes silence can be the most powerful response. Silence is not a sign of weakness or avoidance. It's a demonstration of self-control and the ability to prevent conflict escalation. This is where silence becomes a useful tool, helping you maintain inner peace and patience in the face of challenges. In Stoic philosophy, silence is not about giving up, but is a conscious act that shows control and mastery of oneself. Silence is a way to prevent temporary emotions from overwhelming reason and stops negative situations from pushing you into impulsive actions. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Don't let yourself become a slave to uncontrollable emotions. Know when to keep silent." This emphasizes the importance of not letting emotions drive your actions, but instead remaining calm and composed in all situations. When to use silence? When facing disrespect. In life, it's not uncommon to encounter disrespectful words or rude behavior from others. The immediate reaction may be anger and the desire to retaliate. However, responding with silence in such situations not only demonstrates self-control but also avoids further escalating the conflict. For instance, if someone continues to treat you rudely, instead of arguing or retaliating, staying silent or walking away may be the best way to show that their disrespect doesn't affect you. This not only helps you remain calm, but also sends a message that you are strong enough not to be dragged into negativity. When situations are escalating. When a conflict begins to intensify and shows signs of escalation, silence can be the best option to diffuse the situation. In many cases, arguing or continuing to engage in the confrontation will only make things more complicated and tense. Rather than trying to win an argument, stepping back and remaining silent can prevent the conflict from getting worse and give both sides time to reconsider. Marcus Aurelius, another famous Stoic philosopher, once said, "No one can make you angry if you don't allow it." When you stay silent in escalating situations, you protect your inner peace and prevent others from controlling your emotions. When you need time to think, silence can also be a tool to give yourself time to think before acting. In tense situations, we can easily make hasty decisions or say things we may regret later. By remaining silent, you create space for reflection and carefully consider your next move. When you stay quiet, you're not pressured to react immediately, allowing you to avoid impulsive decisions. Sometimes, silence is a sign of maturity and intelligence, as it allows you to assess the situation from a more objective perspective. The benefits of silence in difficult situations. Maintaining inner peace. Silence helps you avoid unnecessary arguments and protects your inner peace. By choosing not to engage in conflicts, you don't allow yourself to be drawn into negative emotions like anger, sadness, or frustration. This helps you maintain a stable mental state and not let others affect your mood. Showing emotional maturity. Knowing when to stay silent and not reacting to criticism or rudeness is a sign of emotional maturity. Stoics understand that sometimes the strongest action is no action at all. This not only helps you control your emotions, but also earns respect from others. Avoiding negative consequences. In conflicts, if you react impulsively and without thinking, you can easily cause negative consequences, such as damaging relationships or creating unnecessary hostility. Silence helps you avoid difficult situations, prevents hurting others, and ensures you won't regret your words or actions later. When silence may not be the best option. While silence is a powerful tool, it's not always the best solution. There are times when communication and addressing an issue directly may be more effective. For example, when facing injustice or abuse, staying silent may be misinterpreted as acceptance. In such cases, you should speak up and assert your rights in a calm and confident manner. By staying silent when necessary, you not only protect your inner peace, but also show wisdom and growth. Silence can be the most powerful response, especially when facing disrespect. Instead of letting negative emotions take over, you can choose not to engage and maintain a sense of calm. By applying the teachings of Stoicism, you can handle difficult situations with patience and poise, cultivating emotional control and inner tranquility. 7. Accepting change in relationships. In life, relationships play a crucial role in shaping who we are and influencing our quality of life. However, not all relationships are healthy or sustainable forever. Sometimes we must face the inevitable changes in relationships, especially when disrespect continues to occur. According to Stoic philosophy, accepting change and being willing to walk away from toxic relationships is essential to maintaining inner peace and personal growth. In the context of relationships, this means that not all connections will last forever. Some relationships may become unsuitable or toxic as disrespect and conflict increase. Rather than trying to hold on to and change what is beyond our control, Stoicism encourages us to accept that the relationship has changed and be willing to let go if necessary. When a relationship becomes toxic, not all relationships are healthy, and there are times when you may face continuous disrespect from another person. Even if you set boundaries and try to improve the situation, if the other person continues to disregard those boundaries and behave negatively, it is a sign that the relationship may have become toxic. For example, if a friend or family member repeatedly disrespects you, despite your efforts to communicate your feelings and establish boundaries, this is a clear indication that the relationship is no longer healthy. Continuing in such a relationship not only harms your mental health, but also hinders your growth and happiness. Stoicism teaches that in these cases, letting go is not a failure, but a wise choice to protect yourself. Accepting change as a natural part of life. Change is inevitable, and this is especially true in relationships. People come and go in your life, and not all relationships are meant to last forever. According to Stoicism, rather than resisting change, we should learn to accept it as a natural part of life. Accepting that a relationship has ended or no longer brings positive benefits can help us reduce stress and anxiety and open us up to new, healthier relationships. Marcus Aurelius, another famous Stoic philosopher, once said, "Everything changes, and we must change with it." This means we shouldn't cling to relationships that have lost their meaning or have become toxic. Instead of holding on to what no longer serves us, we should be willing to change and grow with life. The strength in letting go. Letting go of a relationship doesn't mean you've failed or haven't tried hard enough. On the contrary, it's a sign of maturity and the ability to recognize when a relationship is no longer serving you. Letting go allows you to free your mind from negative emotions and focus on relationships that are positive and meaningful. By releasing toxic relationships, you make space for new people to enter your life, people who will respect you and grow alongside you. This not only improves your quality of life, but also creates a healthier environment for you to achieve your long-term goals. How to let go of a toxic relationship in a Stoic way. Recognize the signs of a toxic relationship. The first step is to recognize when a relationship has become toxic. If you consistently feel disrespected, unheard, or if the relationship brings more stress and pain than joy, these are signs that the relationship may no longer be healthy. Set boundaries and communicate clearly. Before letting go, try setting clear boundaries and communicating your concerns with the other person. Stoicism encourages patience and not giving up too quickly. Have a conversation and attempt to resolve the issues if possible. However, if after multiple attempts the person continues to disrespect you, it may be time to consider letting go. Accept the change. Accepting that a relationship has changed and may no longer be suitable can be difficult, but it's a crucial step in freeing yourself from negative emotions. According to Stoicism, accepting change is a way to protect your inner peace. Remember, letting go of a toxic relationship isn't failure, but a sign of growth and self-awareness. Focus on long-term goals and personal growth. Finally, after letting go of a relationship, focus on your long-term goals and personal development. Don't let toxic relationships hold you back from achieving great things in life. Concentrate on building healthier relationships and continuing your positive growth. Accepting change in relationships is an inevitable part of life. When a relationship becomes unsuitable or toxic, we must accept the change and be willing to let go to protect our inner peace and personal growth. Maintaining healthy and meaningful relationships requires recognizing when it's time to continue and when it's time to walk away. By embracing change, we can move towards a more balanced and fulfilling life. Number 8. Learning how to face injustice. Life is full of challenges and adversities, and injustice is an inevitable part of that experience. No matter how hard we try to avoid it, injustice exists in various forms, from disrespectful behavior, unfairness at work, to broader social inequalities. In such a context, learning how to deal with injustice is an essential life skill for maintaining inner peace and personal growth. Injustice, an inevitable part of life. According to Stoicism, the world is not perfect, and not everything goes as we wish. Injustice is not something extraordinary, but a natural part of life. Epictetus, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once said, "We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we react to it." This emphasizes that we have no control over the injustices that occur in life, but we can choose how to respond to them with calmness and wisdom. Use patience as your shield. Patience is a virtue that Stoicism encourages us to cultivate when dealing with injustice. Not everything can be resolved instantly, and not every problem has an immediate solution. Sometimes we need to learn to wait and face difficulties with composure. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't let the injustice of others disturb your mind. Be patient and steadfast in your own values." This reminds us that instead of letting injustice disrupt our balance, we should use patience and inner strength to overcome it. Injustice, a valuable lesson. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches that every challenge in life, including injustice, offers valuable lessons. Every time you face injustice, ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow stronger? By viewing injustice as an opportunity for personal growth and development, you'll find that difficult situations become more manageable and have less negative impact on you. The most important thing is not to change or control other people's behavior, but to control your own emotions and reactions to life's challenges. Instead of getting caught up in the negative spiral of anger, frustration, or hurt, you can choose the path of calmness, patience, and insight. When faced with disrespectful people, remember that those behaviors do not reflect your values. By maintaining self-control, setting clear boundaries, and remaining steadfast in your thoughts and actions, you not only protect your self-esteem, but also create healthy and meaningful relationships. Stoicism also encourages us to accept forgiveness and not let hatred weaken our spirit. Forgiveness is not weakness, but an expression of inner strength and a deep understanding of oneself. People who don't respect you may continue to behave like that, but true growth comes from not letting them influence your people and values. Finally, remember that life is a constant series of challenges, and disrespect from others is just one of them. By practicing the principles of Stoicism, you can turn these challenges into opportunities to grow, improve yourself, and live a more peaceful, stronger life. Don't forget to click subscribe to our YouTube channel, click like video, write your share below video in the comments section. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Instead of letting injustice weaken our spirit and drag us into feelings of anger or frustration, Stoicism encourages us to see these adversities as opportunities to strengthen ourselves, practice patience, and build inner resilience. How to deal with injustice. According to Stoicism, focus on what you can control. One of the core principles of Stoicism is to focus on what we can control. When faced with injustice, the first step is to analyze the situation and identify what you can influence. You cannot control how others behave or the external decisions made around you, but you can control how you react. For example, when you encounter disrespect or unfairness at work, instead of reacting with anger or disappointment, ask yourself, will my anger improve this situation? What can I change about it? If the answer is nothing, then focus on controlling your response and handling it wisely and calmly. Accept injustice as part of life. Stoicism teaches us that instead of overreacting to injustice, we should accept it as an unavoidable part of life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations, "Everything happens as it must, And if you observe carefully, you will find this to be so. Instead of dwelling on unfairness or feeling disheartened by situations beyond your control, Stoicism advises us to accept that injustice exists and is not something we can completely eradicate. This doesn't mean we tolerate injustice, but rather that we should view it from a more realistic perspective and not allow it to disrupt our peace of mind. View injustice as an opportunity for growth. Injustice, regardless of its form, can be a valuable lesson for personal development. Stoicism considers life's adversities as opportunities to cultivate patience, compassion, and emotional control. Epictetus once said, "Adversity introduces a man to himself." This means that every time we encounter injustice, we should ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? For instance, if someone continuously disrespects you or behaves unfairly, consider it an opportunity to practice patience. See the challenge as a training exercise to strengthen your inner resilience and remain calm, rather than letting negative emotions take over. Control your reactions. One of the greatest strengths of Stoicism is the ability to control your reactions. We cannot control others, but we can control our emotions and actions. When faced with injustice, it's important not to let anger or resentment overshadow your rational thinking. Reacting impulsively often leads to negative outcomes and only worsens the situation. Instead of responding immediately, give yourself time to think and evaluate the situation. This not only helps you avoid actions you might regret later, but also demonstrates maturity and self-discipline.